Atlanta News' first investigation into a problem causing power outages and leaving millions of people in the dark.
Atlanta News' first investigative reporter Andy Pirati is joining us here to explain the issue that often begins before storms rip through communities.
Walking through her old backyard in Detroit, Michigan, Edith Lee Payne has fond family memories, but also heartbreaking ones, especially when she thinks of the fire that uprooted her life 20 years ago.
It's overwhelming, it's disappointing, and it's frightening.
The fire sparked in July 2003. A state fire marshal's report shows it was from a short circuit. Lee Payne says the fire started because trees came down on power lines and claims her utility company, DTE Energy, failed to remove dead trees near her home.
So during a line clearance cycle in 2001, they left 6 dead trees. Because they left the dead trees back there, one of the 6 fell onto their service drop that services this house and caused a power surge, started an electrical fire.
But DTE's website shows service drops, those lines going to a home, are a customer's responsibility. While insurance paid for some of the damage, Lee Payne had to dip into life savings to pay for the rest. She's taken DTE to court, where a judge said the fire was unfortunate, but that the power company didn't do anything wrong, and that the responsibility to clear lines that run to the home is the customer's. Payne expressed her concerns multiple times to DTE Energy and the Michigan Public Service Commission before and after the fires. The commission denied Lee Payne's claims, but her story highlights the confusion when it comes to who's responsible for trees near power lines.
And there are parts of our system, particularly in the Detroit area. You know, it's an old system. There are challenges with some of the backlots or alleyway systems where the city a long time ago sort of gave up those alleys to the residents, and as a result, you've seen not a lot of vegetation management.
Our national investigative team analyzed federal data on major power outages and found that on average, customers are left in the dark from 2 to 4 hours at least once each year. Mother Nature playing a major part, with federal records from major power disruptions from the last several years showing that roughly 85% of significant outages each year were caused by severe weather or natural disaster. Enforcement isn't uniform across the country. Major utilities are subject to federal standards, requiring things like annual inspections and documented plans to ensure lines are kept clear. Otherwise, utilities are regulated at the state level, meaning requirements can vary state by state.
So Michigan has a different system than Arizona, for example, where there are much fewer trees. They have less of a problem with ice than we do. We also get fewer hurricanes than Texas does or Florida does. And so some of those regional differences ultimately lead to different approaches.
For Lee Payne, she won't stop fighting until she sees power companies take more responsibility for clearing all trees from all power lines and stop people from feeling powerless.
I don't want to see anybody else lose any property as I have and other people have.
That was Carice Jackman reporting in Georgia. Federal data shows 96% of major power outages from 2018 to 2023 were caused by severe weather. Overall, Georgia customers experienced on average a 2 to 3 hour outage at least one time in 2022. Andy Pirati, Atlanta News First, investigates.